I always been big on the paranormal. When I mean big on the paranormal, I was always collecting movies that had to do with different type of horror. If it was from The Exorcist, if it was from Friday the 13th, Halloween, on down line to Poltergeist, to The Conjuring, Annabelle, or maybe the movie It. It just was so amazing to watch horror movies every weekend. So I will try my best to put my little bit of money out there to order horror movies from Amazon. But the thing was, I was the type of person that did not believe in spirits. I was never a big paranormal person. That means I really didn't believe in the paranormal. That means I didn't believe anything that goes bump in the night. I didn't believe that people can actually catch voices on their voice recorders, or people can catch videos of spirits or shadow people on their cell phones. So I had this friend named John. Well, he's my best friend. Me and him always have this little debate between what ghosts are real or ghosts are fake. So he said he's going to prove to me that spirits exist. So he told me, listen, come with me to this haunted hospital that's not too far from here. Haunted hospital? Yes, it's an actual haunted hospital. The hospital been around for many decades. It's been closed off to the public, and also security guards have actually left the property because of falling debris, people going missing, and many other things that are going on around the hospital. People coming up missing. Yes, coming up missing. I said, okay, what time do you want to go to this haunted hospital? I said, I will pick you up around 11 o'clock and make sure you're ready. And we can get there by 12. So I looked at him and I agreed with him. See, my friend, he's this wannabe ghost hunter. He loves Ghost Adventures. So he's always watching Ghost Adventures on his cell phone. And he also did a couple of ghost hunting himself. He was doing it for the past 5 years. So he told me what to wear. He told me to wear some steel toe boots, wear a coat, make sure I wear gloves, and make sure I wear a hat, and make sure I stay warm because it's going to be very, very cold in the hospital because we were like in the middle of winter at the time. My friend picked me up around 10:30. We had to stop at his house. Once he got off of work, we had to stop at his house to go and pick up more supplies that he used for ghost hunting. We picked up the supplies at his home and then we went on our trip to the hospital. Now, I saw this hospital from a distance. The hospital was humongous. It actually looked like a college campus. We drove up to the gate, and me thinking there's going to be more people with us, he told me, no, it's just going to be me and you. Me and you? Yes, just us two. Because, like I said to you earlier, which you probably wasn't listening, that security has been taken away from the hospital because a lot of security guards end up missing or end up hurt because of falling debris. Oh, okay. So we're going to be going in here by ourselves. There's an open gate over there. So we're going to be heading towards that open gate. And we're going to go up these steps. Like I told you, here is your flashlight. Here is your mask to keep you from getting types of dust and asbestos and all different types of chemicals and different types of mold and stuff that's in this building. You must wear this all the time. Do not take it off. Okay. So me and him started walking through the high grass until we got to the gate. Then we went underneath the gate and then we entered the building from the back way. Now he wanted to enter through the basement, but the basement was flooded. So we entered through the back way because they had stairs that went right up to the first floor. So we entered. It was already eerie, and you already can feel the tension of something going on in this building, or was something going in this building. So we started walking up the steps, and then we got to the top of the steps to the first floor. We opened the door, we walked right in, and it was nothing but total blackness. We saw a couple of lights because the hospital kept lights on in the building so it would help security guards see when they were working there. So we started walking down this long corridor. It will show us where to go. So we were looking on the map to try to find out where the morgue was. We ended up finding the morgue, so we headed towards that direction. But I kept on having a funny feeling that somebody was watching us. But I shrugged it off and said, you know what? It's just me paranoid. And this is my first time in this building, so I keep on smelling this weird smell. And I keep on thinking that I'm seeing things in a quarter of my eye. But me and John just kept walking down the hallway. And then we got to a certain point of the hallway that we had to stop because John was in this deep thought. And his eyes got so wide. And I asked him, what is wrong? And he said, do you see that? Do you see that thing that's staying down there in the hallway? And I looked and I couldn't see anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's right there. It's in the corner. Don't you see it? John, I don't see anything. What are you talking about? One thing I see is a brick. And it's sticking out kind of funny. Not there. Over there. And my eyes got wide. And I saw this tall man. He was pale skinned. And he was just standing there. Now me, being an old hospital, you're thinking that it's homeless people, drug addicts, all are staying in this hospital because this is the only shelter they have around here that actually is open. So we're thinking that it might be homeless people, but my friend John didn't believe that it was a homeless person. And next thing you know, I'm looking at him trying to get him out of his trance, and he woke up out of it, and I looked up, the man was gone. And to me, I'm thinking, okay, I'm seeing things. We're both seeing things. Let's keep on going and let's get to this morgue. So we're walking towards the morgue and I think that I'm hearing somebody breathing right behind me, right behind my left side of my ear. And I turned around so quickly, but there was nobody there. And I said, John, was somebody just whispering to you? No, I didn't get a whisper, but maybe I got the whisper on my recorder. So he plays back the recorder. He didn't just hear a whisper, he heard somebody actually having a conversation, but we didn't see nobody. The person was talking about, we're going to get them, and he said it in broken language, but you could understand, get them. So I looked at John looked at me, so we just said, you know what? For me to not be a non-believer, I'm starting to get a little bit questionable, about what's going on. So John said, come on, we're not that far from the morgue. So we had to go down this long ramp and we had to make a left, and that will take us into the morgue. So we got down to where the morgue was, but for some reason the temperature had dropped a lot more than it was. It was already in the 20s, but it felt like it was in the teens. There was no wind. It was just dead cold. And I just kept on hearing little kids laughing. It's like they were there, but you couldn't see them. And I kept looking around to see if I could find them. And I couldn't find these little kids. They were laughing. And they were laughing so hard. It's like they had this great joke that you're trying to find out what the joke was so you can laugh too. But these kids were laughing so hard. And next thing you know, I heard a little kid, can you play with me? And I turned around and I seen this little kid with a balloon. And this kid was looking right at me, in between the door of one of the patient's rooms. And I had to shake my head and wipe my eyes to see if I'm seeing things. And I opened my eyes and the child was gone. But the balloon was still there. And the balloon was walking down the hallway. I mean, it literally floated down the hallway, but it looked like it was walking down the hallway with the little girl that was holding the balloon. My friend John was shocked when he seen that. He said, "Did you see that? Did you fucking see that? I told you this ain't no game." And I'm thinking maybe they're playing some tricks. Maybe this is all made up. Maybe he did this so he can make me believe in ghosts. I know that you're playing a trick with me. I'm not playing a trick with you. Why the hell would I be playing a trick with you? Come on, let's go. So we were walking down past the patient's room, and we actually passed the room. And I turned my head just a little bit to see a lady sitting in a chair facing the window. And I looked and I said, "Yo, John, come here. Is that a woman? Or what the hell is that sitting by the window?" John pulled out his camera, and he had his camera on her. So we slowly walked into the room. And we got not that much close to her. She turned around. We saw her face. She let out this humongous scream. And it knocked me and him out the room, onto the floor, on top of each other. We scuffled to get up. Once we got up, the lady was gone. I seen that face. Her eyes were not there. Her mouth was wide open, and her scream filled the whole hospital. She actually sounds like she was standing right in front of you, screaming in your ear. I said, "Okay, it's time to go." He said, "Hold on. I want to go to the morgue. I have to see something." I'm like, "Okay." So I put enough courage in to go with him to the morgue. Even after all the shit I have seen, I'm like, we got to get the hell out of here. We get to the morgue. The morgue was just, I just don't believe how the morgue was looking. It was peeling, and you could see the old remnants of blood on the freezers that they kept the bodies, and you see the tools that the doctors left when they were doing their autopsies. And I kept on hearing this tapping noise. And I'm standing right by one of the freezers, and I kept hearing a tapping noise right next to me. And the tapping noise got louder. And next thing you know, the tapping noise got into a big bang. I mean, the bang was so loud that I almost stumbled and fell into one of the wheelchairs. And I happened to look. And I'm like, we need to get the hell out of here. And I looked at John. John was, his eyes were caught on something again. And we seen this black shadow. This black shadow was so huge, it actually blocked out the light that was brighter than our cell phone light, because the light was used for the security guards so they could see at night when they do their rounds. But this black shadow was blocking out the light. So I said, "Let's go." So I grabbed John and I started running down the steps. And I ran so fast that I tripped and I fell down a bunch of steps, and I hit my head against the wall. And John came downstairs and asked me, was I all right? And I'm like, "No, I think I hurt my ankle." He looked at it. He said, "Yes, your ankle is swollen, but can you get up?" He tried to help me up, and I couldn't get up. But I just kept on looking up the stairs, and it was this thing standing on the top of the stairs with his mouth wide open, with teeth that you never ever seen in your life, and his eyes were so huge and so red, and he had these fingers that stretched out to hit the floor, and he started walking down the steps real slowly. And I kept on telling John, "Turn around," but John was so worried about me, and he helped me up, and then he looked up and he saw it, and next thing you know, John started running down the steps with me. He dragged me, even though I couldn't even walk. I steady tried to pace with him. And then we got down to the basement. And then we said we need to go somewhere and hide. And we tried to go and hide, but we couldn't find nowhere to hide in the basement. So we headed to the cafeteria. The cafeteria was a better place to hide because they had a lot more better hiding spaces. So we sat in the cafeteria for a good hour. He said we should wait here until the sun come up. I'm saying, fuck no. We don't need to wait here until the sun come up. We need to get the hell out of here, John. We don't need to be waiting for anybody, for any help. We need to get out of here. We know where the exit is. We just got to get to the first floor. We're not even on the first floor. We're on the third floor. We need to get to the first floor so we can get the hell out of this building. John looked at me and said, you're right. He picked me up and he said, I'm going to find you a wheelchair and I'm going to wheel you out this building. So he found me an old wheelchair. He put me in it and he was rolling me down the hallway. And we had to go. We couldn't go down the steps. We had to use one of the old elevators. The old elevators actually worked. The elevator came to the floor. It opened up. The light was bright. And we walked right on it. We pressed the button to the first floor. The door closed. And the elevator started going down real slow. Then the elevator stopped at mid first floor. And then the elevator went back up to the 13th floor. And then the elevator opened. And then it was just total darkness. I told John, press the fucking button. We need to get the fuck out of here. He's up there pressing the button, but the door would not close. And next thing you know, the room that the floor that we're on, we're just getting darker and darker and darker. Then at the end of the room, you could see these red eyes glowing. And the eyes are coming closer. John is pressing the button. He's pounding on the button to close the door. And as he's doing it, the door starts to close real slow. And these eyes gotten closer and closer and closer. Then the door closed. And then the elevator started going right back downstairs again. We got to the first floor. He pushed me out. We looked around. And we were like, whew. Now, we're almost out, but we still had to find the exit. Next thing you know, we heard this loud noise. It was so loud, it shook the building, and one of the walls hit John in the head, and he fell on the floor. And I fell on the floor because the loud noise scared the shit out of me. I limped over to John, and I told John, are you okay? He did not respond because he had a cut on his head from the rock hitting him in his head. And I said, John, I'm going to get help. Please, do not die on me. I limped my way to the exit, which I have found. It took me many minutes to find it, but I found the exit. I limped myself down the steps, and I actually got outside, and I limped my way under the gate through the tall weeds. I tried to get to John's car and I looked for his cell phone, but I left my cell phone home and he had his cell phone still on him, and I forgot to get his cell phone. So I went to the first house I can see. I banged on the door hard and I asked, please, I need some help. My friend, he's hurt. We need help. Please, can you call the police? Can you please help me? Can you please help us? My friend is still trapped in this hospital. Nobody would answer the door, even though the lights were on. And you could still see movement inside the house. And then I heard a latch, and I knew they locked their door. And next thing you know, they turned their lights out. And I'm stuck on the porch banging on their door. So I had to go back and get John's phone. So I limped back through the tall weeds, under the gate, and up the steps. And next thing you know, I couldn't find John. I just saw blood on the floor and a trail that went all the way to this room. And I limped myself down the hallway because I needed to find John, and I needed a cell phone to call 911. And I happened to look in the room, but John wasn't there. And I happened to feel this cold sensation. And I looked up,